as we go through different scenarios of workflows and stuff, I try to think, what are some things that maybe in the workplace that we've not covered in the past or not covered well, or thought about some of the things that we, really ought to do in the business. And that is setting up a annual review. 90% of the people that you close on, they go through the transaction with you, your past customers, 90% of them would do business with you again, but only like 13% actually do. 28% of them don't even remember your names. That's hard. That's tough. Why the switch? And so many times it's really just because as agents, you guys get busy. You don't always spend the time that you need to build that relationship. They don't always, it's kind of haphazard. So kind of the thing that I wanted to do in today's session was do a discussion. So that means you and I both talk. So you can open up your mics and actually give us some input. But what is it that you would normally do for an annual review, if you're doing them at all? I'm hearing that a lot of agents don't do them. They'll do the transaction, they'll get through the transaction, and then they're forgetting, the past clients and how they do stuff. So kind of give an example of what I'm talking about. And then let me just go ahead and go over here to, actually, I'm already here in workflows. I'm going to create a new workflow. And it's just going to be a small workflow. We're not going to do too much, too much fancy stuff. It really just kind of comes down to making sure that we get something in place. I was talking about making sure that it's done, not perfect. It doesn't have to be perfect as long as it's done. And you can perfect it as you go along. So I'm in here in the workflows area. And actually, you know what? Am I sharing my screen? I'm not even sharing my screen yet here. Let me share my screen. There we go. All right. So we're here in Realvolve. We're at the bar menu at the top. We've clicked on workflows. So we're in the workflows section. Over on the left-hand side, we're going to click on the little plus. In here, we're going to create a new workflow. So I'm going to click on continue. Now, the premise here is that after you've closed the transaction, so you've gone through some kind of transaction, now from that point forward, annually, you want to communicate some information about that property, about its value, and maybe the way the market is, maybe might be beneficial for them to maybe sell the house, this some touch points and stuff. But so you have the opportunity of doing one of two things, and it kind of depends on what type of information you're going to be pulling from. And I don't know if there's a right or wrong in doing this, but the thing that you've got to determine is, am I pulling this or starting this workflow as a contact workflow where I'm just doing through the contact, or is it part of the ending part of a transaction? I'm going to say right now, and I'm just kind of pulling this out of my hat here, is it's going to be off of a transaction. So we're going to say annual review. After close, whatever. The rest of this really doesn't matter, but you might go in here and put in a description of what this is. Just a repeating annual review of past client home purchase to be a trusted advisor. The rest of the information I really don't care too much for. I'm just going to click on the add. So now we have the workflow in place. And I tell you what, as I'm building this, once it's all done, I will make this as a free workflow so that everybody can have access to what I've created. And if you want to make changes to it, you can certainly do that. So if you want to just follow along and not worry about creating it, you can do that. If you want to do the creation of it and actually see the fruits of your labor that you've actually done, you can do that as well. I'll try to go slow enough. So the very first thing that we want to do is this is going to happen. This workflow is going to happen right after close, right? So we want to start this workflow probably as part of a closing process. You could actually include these in your closing process if you wanted to, but I'm going to create it as a separate workflow and then maybe call it at different times from possibly different workflows at the very end of those. So you can start a workflow from another workflow. So here's the annual review after close, and I'm going to come down here and choose add another activity to the workflow. So this is where I would really like your input. Is there anything that you guys do? And if you just want to put it into the chat area, is there anything that you guys do as part of an annual review? Prepping for it is one part of this that we need to do, but the actual content, what is it that you do for your customers, if you do, and if you don't, you should, I think. So what are some of the things that you do for your customers on that annual purchase date? 1 year after, 2 years after, 3 years after, that type of stuff. And if you just want to verbally tell me, or if you want to put it in chat, either one, I'm making a note off to the side, and we'll do some of that.
Hey, Mark, this is Cindy.
Hi, Cindy.
I do the annual reviews. I've got one sitting here. So when I do mine, I do a cover letter where I always try to personalize it so it's not just a canned letter, and ask about them and their family. And then I list in the cover letter what all I'm including in the report. And I always include the MLS sheet from when they bought it. I include their current tax record printout. I include a CMA of their neighborhood for the past 6 months. Unless there aren't many homes on there, then I would go back a year. And I always highlight on there how long I've gone back. And then if they don't live in a subdivision, I try to still find similar properties. And then our MLS does a local market update. So I print that out. It shows all kinds of graphs and just a snapshot for the month, comparing this month to a year ago and a year to date comparison. And it at the top, it's nice because it shows a change in the median sales price, which lately has been like 25%.
Absolutely.
And then depending on where they live, so like if they're in Raleigh, I'll do one for Raleigh. Or if they're in Cary, I'll do one for Cary. So I'll also do based on the city. And then they also have a median sales price graph. And I go back 3 years because that is really cool for them to see how their price has gone up over 3 years. And again, this comes off our MLS. I don't know if you can see that. And then we have an amazing guy here who's an appraiser, but he does what's called the TAR report. And he does them monthly, and it goes into an extreme amount of detail about our market. And then you can break it out by city, by neighborhood. He does a video every month for our MLS. And so I always include his report, which can be 3 or more pages. And then we do a little spiral binding. And I saw a webinar where one guy actually does like a little bomb video. And so he he sends an email with a bomb video saying, hey, I'm getting ready to put this in the mail. And then he follows up with them after they receive it. So I'm good about getting these out. I try to do it on the anniversary, but then like towards the end of last year, I'd gotten behind. So I did a whole bunch. I did get an immediate listing from it. But I love the idea of him doing like a little bomb video saying, okay, it's coming. And then I've also heard of where some agents will say, hey, can I bring this to you? Spend a few minutes going over it. So I'm not doing everything that I should have.
I really like that bomb. That's the first time I've actually heard of agents doing that. And that's a great way. It's like, hey, it's coming, be ready, and get them hyped up for it. That's an amazing thought. I really like that. Anybody else have ideas of what they've included that maybe wasn't included by Cindy? Is there anything else that you guys do? Renee says Cindy rocks. Absolutely. Love it. Okay. This is amazing. Her for that. Yeah. So this is amazing. And to me, if there's not an appraiser in your area that does what Cindy was talking about, golly, I'd be looking hard for somebody that does that. That's amazing. If they're doing that monthly and giving that type of information, that's incredible opportunity to use some really good data from a valuable source. And if your appraiser's not doing that, maybe you need to recommend that he does it. And that's a huge benefit. So this is awesome. So what we're going to do is kind of build this out and kind of include some of these types of points in there. So now, Cindy, let me ask you this. When you said you do this at their annual purchase, but do you do the prep work before that? I mean, or are you actually doing it on their anniversary? You're muted.
The graphs are done monthly by Triangle MLS. So like last year, I tried to get a lot of them done. So I printed everything off like in April, but then I didn't get them all sent. So then it was old data.
Okay.
So I try to do it at the time that I'm going to send it.
Gotcha.
So I did, report of everybody when their anniversary is so that we have that in a file. Because when I did get behind, then it got to be a little bit confusing.
Old data and stuff too.
Yeah.
Okay. So, so really what we're saying here is that as part of this closing process and the annual review, there's some prep work that we need to do prior to doing anything, just so that we have the data available to us, right? So what I might, and correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm going down a rabbit hole that doesn't need to be gone down, if you're doing it some other way, let me know. But maybe we just need to have prep for, I'm going to say it like this, and we can rename it later. Like I said, it just needs to be done, not worry about perfection. Prep for next year. And I say that because we want to do this maybe on the day that we start this. We start this workflow maybe, right after they close. It's the day of the close. There's some things that maybe you want to collect and make sure that you have in their file. And you should have it anyway, but just to make sure that it's there. And that would be the tax record information. I made a list here, and I may butcher some of it, but tax record information, maybe the what?
The MLS printout.
Okay.
When they bought it.
Printout when purchased. Okay. And probably that snapshot from your appraiser on that, or do you just wait until the following year? for that.
Yeah, the rest of it I pull when I'm sending it. But it would be great to get notice after 11 months after they close. Like if we can get it to do.
Yep.
To start gathering this information so we can get it to them on their anniversary.
Yep. Okay. The one thing that I would do on this, probably because you're going to be starting this on multiple transactions, one of the things that I would probably do is something like this, where I'd even put in bracket, and then the street address of the property in the title of the activity, just so that, prep for next year for 123 Main Street. That way, at least you have, the address, a memory marker that you can use that says, okay, go grab the tax records for this one, the MLS printout. So we'll do all that. And maybe we just do this one day. We could do this like one day after closing date, or just one day after start date. It's really going to be the same thing. It really didn't matter. So one day after start date. And then it's just a to-do. Whoever's going to do this activity for you, if you're not the one doing it, maybe you've got an assistant or whatever, you're going to select them to pick up the information off of MLS and do the stuff. Everything else, it's just basic information. We really don't care about anything else. So I'm going to click on add. So this is just a prep it reminder thing that we're going to do right after we close, but as soon as we start this workflow. So then you said the other thing is at 11 months, then get the TAR report. Is that what it is? Get the appraiser report. Is TAR for your area? You're muted again. Cindy, you're muted again.
tarreport.com.
tarreport.com.
Yep.
Something like that.
Yeah, perfect.
So this one then it could then just be like 11 months after start date. We'll just get it there. Once it starts, you could put in after close date, would be fine as well, but we're just going to do it after start date. And then at this point, you could, in this case, put in like http://tarreport.com. And that's really all we really care about, I guess. The one thing that we did want to do on this is probably make this a repeating activity every 12 months. If you're doing this yearly, so do this yearly. And I don't know, if you want to do it forever, you can, maybe 5 to 7 years, just however you do that. Might put that in that way. So once it starts, it does do repeating. So we'll click on that and go there. So we prepped. That didn't need to be repeating. That was just the initial thing. The getting the report, we're going to do that annually on that probably 11 months afterwards piece. And then we would probably do an actual to-do for getting this all prepped prior to the actual event itself. So I'm going to add another, and I'm going to say prepare this year's review or annual review, bracket, street address again. I didn't do that on the other one. We can go back and change that. In this case, we might go ahead and put the in the checklist again, MLS report, tax records, or do you get refresh tax records every year? Is that what you're doing?
I do, just because
Okay.
the tax value can change.
Yep. CMA, 6 month back. Local market update print.
I've seen where some people put in a national real estate update. I know there are all kinds of sites to get those.
National update print, and you could put those as links in there if you wanted to. Then, which that would actually bring up the median sales price, but median sales price. You put in the checklist of things that you want to include in your report. Just make sure that you don't miss anything. If there's instructions, maybe a URL or link, you can just put that in there. In this case, we've got the TAR report that we did from the 11-month, but we want to make sure that we include it in this package, TAR report. Bind, and then maybe even at that point, that's all we need there. What we could do at this point is once this activity is all completed, we've got it all prepared, then we're going to create an action to send that bomb email. So I'm going to go over here to the templates. I just opened up a separate window here. And what I want to do is create a new template. Yeah, that's fine. Author a new template. And I'm going to say annual review bomb video. Sending it, whatever. This is a transactional one, and shipping your shipping your annual review, blah, blah. And I'm going to put in this, we're going to put the greeting, say Mark and Kathy, just a heads up that I'm putting your annual review in the mail today. We'll call you in a couple, or after you receive it. Call you after you receive it. You put in whatever words you want, and then put in signature. What I would probably do is, now technically you could do this and make it a very generic bomb video. Grab an envelope or whatever, and not show the address or whatever, but come in here and click on record. Hey, just want to let you use a different background than this. Use your background. Hey, this is Mark. Just want to let you know I'm putting your annual review package in the mail, and show it actually being put into the mailbox at that point. And then you can go in and say, look for it. Once you receive it, reply back to the email, and we'll set up some time to go over it. Make that a generic type email of some sort, and then you can save and insert that video in there. You could do that. Now, if if you do that, you make sure you don't put in any names and stuff. If you make this a message that you, right before you send out, you modify it, then you can customize it each time and not worry about it not being personalized. If you want to personalize each one of them, the thing that want to be careful of there is, especially if you're using the generic one, if you're taking it outdoors and there's snow, you probably don't want to be sending that in the summer, that type of thing. So just a thought. So once where's my mouse? I've lost my mouse. Do you guys still hear me? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, I've lost my mouse. Here, let me see if I can. There we go. And click on save. Let me switch mice real quick. I think I just lost the battery on my mouse. Connected. There we go. Okay, so I've got this annual review bomb video. Now I'm going to come back over here to my activity where I've created my checklist of the activity for my prepare. I could actually say prepare and send this annual review or send email, where we now are going to come over here and say, we're going to create an action and we're going to say send bomb video. Okay. In this case, we are sending it, we can send it automatically or with preview. This is where if you want to do the preview option and record a new video before it actually goes out each time, you could do that. If you just want to send it automatically, you can do that. I would probably just send it automatically and make it more generic. And we're going to send it as an email. And click on here, annual review. Up on video, sending it. If I want to update the last email date, can do that. And since this is, I only want to send this once I've completed all of these, bind, and we might even add in there package, whatever. Once it's all checked off, then I want to be able to send this action. So I don't want to check this incomplete checklist option. That would give you the ability to send this before these items were complete, and we don't want to do that. So I just want to click on save. So now I've got everything there. I'm going to go ahead and do this bind and package ship. Okay. One more item on there and click on add. So one thing I didn't do is actually set this up for the correct date and stuff. So we want to do this. We probably want to do this hopefully to get it to them before they their actual review, so you can actually do the review. You can call them or email them or whatever, or call them or visit with them on their date if as close as possible. So what I might do here is say 360 days. So that gives me 5 days prior. If you want to say 355, give you 10 days prior, whatever, you could do that. But after close date, after closing date, and again, I could use start date. It really didn't matter on this one. But we do want to come over here and set the repeat again to yearly, because we want to do this as a yearly thing. And repeat again, I might just do 5 or 7 or whatever we want to do. And maybe this, this is an important thing. We've got to do some prep work. Maybe we colorize it to be red. Just make sure it all gets done and click on update. So now, at this point, we're prepping the first year on one day after we started, 11 months after after we've started this, we're going to go ahead and get the appraiser report, make sure that it's the month before. And then this is actually doing it a few days before they're closing to actually do the prep work for the review. The last thing that we really need to do probably is set up a call with them and annual review call for bracket, street address, who are we doing this, who's doing this, who are we doing this with. Now this, in this case, and we needed to do this on the email. I missed that as well. So we want to do this with the buyer. Say buyer and then buyer 2 if you wanted to. Buyer 2, get them in there. And we're wanting to do this 1 year. 1 year after closing date. Okay. And again, we want to do this as a repeating activity. So we'll come over here and we're going to repeat this yearly, every year for 5 years. And you may make that whatever you want, but that way we do that. Call, because it's a call, I may make it a yellow or a green or something like that, just to differentiate it. And yeah, I think that gives us what we want. So I'll click on add there. One thing that we needed to do on this one, because we are sending an email, we need to know who that email is going to go to. And I didn't put the width in that one. So make sure that the width is set up to go with the buyer. And you could put buyer 2 there. The other option that you have, if you do buyer 2, then it's actually sending out the email to 2 different people, 2 separate emails. Where if you come over here in the action section, we have a BCC option, in which case you can CC the buyer 2. That way it's sent out as one email, but the buyer 2 is actually CC'd with that email, so you don't have to actually send out 2. And
can I ask a question about that? Actually, that was on my list.
Yeah.
So if we're going to send it to a couple, we shouldn't put both their names on the first line, but to CC them. Otherwise, they're going to get 2 separate ones, and they don't see that the other one has gotten a copy. That's
true. Yeah, if you, and this is really more beneficial, like if you're sending an email to a bunch of people and you want each one of them customized, dear John, dear Mary, dear Sally, Sue, whatever, that's when you would actually put them in the width field. If you just want to send it once and then everybody gets a copy of that email, then you would use the party member CC or BCC option. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
So we click on update on that. So at this point now, and again, we can perfect it later, but this gives us a very simple annual option. Now, what we might do, everything looks good here for now. What we might do is find our closing workflow. Let's see, buyer, escrow, close, contract through close. That's interesting. I've got 2 of them. This is my trainer site, so there's no telling. But what you might do is this for your existing workflow. Once you've got this one, the annual review one created, then on this one here, like 0 days after closing date, let's see, do we have one here? There is a possession day, 0 days after close date. After close workflow. So here is an after close workflow that is already in this. It's just not the same one. But technically we could go ahead and just put that in here as well. So I'm going to edit this one just to show you how you could, if you've got an existing closing workflow, which I hope you do, and the one thing that you've got is something like 0 days after close date, which is on the closing date. You want to start this after close workflow on it. So we could create it. There's already one in here for some other workflow, but you can actually create multiple actions. You can have it do and choose to do multiples if you want. So what we might do is, if you don't have it, just add it in, click on the action, say annual review workflow. And then down here at the bottom, we have this start and stop a workflow, in which case we want to choose our annual review after close that we want to start, and then we click on save. So by doing this now, whenever I'm going through my normal closing workflow, on the day of the closing, it's going to come up and say, hey, you need to start these workflows after we've closed. So then the activity comes up and it would give you options for what actions do you want to start. In which case you could do the annual review, check it, and you can check multiple actions. If you have multiple actions like this, you can actually start multiple actions at the same time. In which case it would step you through it and create that workflow and get it started. So you don't forget to do it is kind of the point. Put it in your existing workflow so you don't forget to do it. Otherwise, if you just want to make it a mental note every time I do it, you can certainly do that. But I'm always an advocate of making sure that everything is on a workflow. That way things don't get missed. Make sense? Awesome. You'd click on update. I'm not going to do it because I don't really want this one in here, but you hit OK and save on that, and you're all good. So now let me go to a transaction, and let's put this on this one here. I'm just going to, since this is all training stuff, I'm not going to really worry about it. Let me go in here to activities, just see if there's anything in here. Nope. Okay, good. So let's say, for instance, we're going through the process of closing on 123 South Main Bolivar here, and the annual. Let's pretend it was part of a closing workflow, and it actually does this for you. You don't really have to worry about it, but it's going to come up and start the workflow for you. I'm going to do it manually just to get it in here. The closing date, I'm closing today, so that's the date on it, and my start date, I'm also starting this today. It then calculates those dates for me, and then I click on next. Now I've only got one buyer in this one, so it's Bobby Agent, which doesn't make sense because he's the buyer, but in the case. So at this point now, I've got my workflow started, and here it is. So on January 20th, which is technically tomorrow, I had set it for 1 day after start date or 1 day after closing. I wanted to prep for next year. So, might be closing at the end of the day. You don't want to be working late. You don't want to have things left undone. So you actually do it the next day. At this point now, we go to prep for the next year's review. So I go to complete this, and lo and behold, it gives me my activities. Okay, I need to go do my tax record information, blah, blah, blah. I go and do that. If you wanted to put a URL in there, you could do that. MLS printout, blah, blah, blah. I've done that. So now I can just check these items off on that day, and I've created my file, and I've got it all good for me. So then time flows by. It's now December 19th, and we need to get the appraiser report. So I come here to get the appraiser report, and oh, I thought we had that linked in there. Okay, well, at least it gives you the list. I do have an update for our engineers to make HTTP and HTTPS. Maybe it's just the S's allow you to actually click on that and go. There is a way where you can add some extra script in there to make it work, but that's kind of a pain to do that. We were going to do it for you automatically. But let's say we've done that. We've got our report, and we're good. So now that's gone by. Now, lo and behold, it is a few days before the annual review, and it's the 14th, let's say, of next year. And here's all the things that we're going to do for our annual review. We need our MLS. We need our tax records, our CMA, all the different things. And you'll see if I scroll down, I don't have everything done yet. All I have is save and close. So you can close it, you can come back. Once you get everything done, I've bound it, and I've packaged it ready to ship. Because I have everything checked off, now it says, hey, it's now valid to be able to send the report. I can do my BombBomb. I can click on run. It then sends that BombBomb email to my buyer, showing them that I stuck it in the mailbox for them. Again, make sure you're not sending it during the snow. Or you personalize it. And then I'm just going to say save and close. I don't really want to run it because I really don't even know who I have in there for my buyer, and I don't want to send them an email that doesn't really count. At that point then, on the 19th, which is 1 year from today, yay, we are going to do our annual review call. Hopefully by that time they've emailed back or called back, hey, I received the package, great. And we can do this. If not, maybe you want to do some other things and schedule a call or whatever, but we have our call and we complete that. So now because we set things as repeating, now the next activity isn't until December of the following year. So now we've got all of our stuff ready for the next time we do this. So every year we get that annual report set up, prepped, shipped, and checked off, and you're done. And you don't have to remember to do it. It reminds you to do it. How cool is that? All right. Any questions about what we just did? Cindy, that was amazing. Thank you for that information. That made it a whole lot easier because I was going to have to make up some stuff from the things that we do. What I really enjoy doing is sessions like this, where we can kind of get input from our users and say, what is it that you do? And the other attendees are able to supply whatever information. And it's just a lot of really good brain trust information that we share with each other and able to grow on each other's knowledge and processes that you do. So I really enjoy these type sessions.
Mark, I have a question, please.
Sure, absolutely.
Mark, so I saw you are sending out the MLS printout. Is Realvolve connected to the MLS where you can go back in and that's sent automatically, or how is that done?
Yeah, so no, we're not currently, and I'm going to say that very gently, we're not currently set up to do the MLS connectivity. But what Cindy was saying was that is more of a task that she does as part of this process. She goes out there and does the search on her MLS to bring that information in. So the tasks that are being completed are all basically manual process type tasks. I will share with you in some coming updates that we're going to be working on. We're adding some additional features to our actions, in which case some automation might be able to be done for certain places, depending on what they have available. So be on the watch for that. We'll give you more detail on that, but that's some fun stuff that I put into our roadmap for this year, and really excited about the possibilities.
Awesome. Thank you.
You are welcome. Anybody else have questions?
I've got a couple.
All right, go for it.
I pulled up and I had the same workflow going twice for the same transaction. Did I just start two workflows without realizing it?
Probably. I mean, if they both, if you've got duplicates on there, typically you've probably started it twice. And because I mean, you really have got to go through that wizard process. So somebody either on your team also went through it, or you've gone through it. I'm not sure how you're set up, whether you're the only one doing it or not. But typically, if there's two of everything on there, it's because you started it twice. And that's another thing that now I'm not doing anything with tags, but we get that a lot where somebody has started a workflow that uses the tag option, and you never want to start a workflow multiple times that uses the tags, because each time you start it, anybody that's got those tags will get those emails multiple times, and then you really look stupid. So not that I want to prevent you guys from looking bad.
And then are y'all integrated with Boomtown?
So with Boomtown, we have a lot of users that use Boomtown for doing the lead generation, the lead collection, and then once they convert as a they sign on the dotted line for either a listing agreement or buyer's agreement of some sort, then they'll tag them in Boomtown, and you can set up a Zap in Zapier.com, and based off of a trigger that the tag was set to a certain tag, send that contact information then to Realvolve. Absolutely. A lot of people do that.
Yeah, I've yet to be able to figure out Zapier.
Oh.
I think
We do have a lot of training out on our YouTube channel for Zapier. If you just go into our YouTube area and do a search. Otherwise, send me some details on what you're wanting to do, and maybe I can create a little video for you.
it's probably there. Great. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Anybody else? Cindy, I think you said you had a couple questions.
Yeah, the first one's about setting up two workflows.
Okay.
I think that's user error.
There was a question here. Do we have integrations with Bifini? So Bifini is the referral maker software. I think there is a Zap for referral maker. We do have import. So, being able to import the information from that. Let me just check real quick here if I can find referral maker in Zapier. I was thinking that they do, but I'm not 100% sure. In which case, you might be able to do the exact same thing if they do. Explore. Actually, let me just pull this over here and let you guys see. So I go to Zapier.com, and then I went into Explore, so I can do a search, and then I come down here. It's being really slow. Here we go. So referral maker, referral. I don't see referral maker. So they don't have a Zap, but what you can do, one option that I've used for some other alternatives that you can do is if you've got contact information that you're wanting to send over from some application to another application, if you can set up an email that contains information with merge fields and stuff in there. So you might say, first name, colon, and then a merge field for their first name, last name, colon, their last name. So you actually create a merge field of stuff. You could send it to a parser, a Zapier parser that pulls that information out of that email and then uses that as a trigger to put into Realvolve. So I know Referral Maker has, the templates and stuff. Once a buyer comes in or seller comes in, a lead comes in of some sort, and they sign on the dotted line, you want to be able to send that. You could just create a simple email in Referral Maker that sends the detailed information to a email address for Parser. And we do have some training on that in our YouTube channel that would allow you to do some stuff as well. Also, if you just go to help.realvolve.com, there are some Zapier items in here as well. So how to set up an email parser is in here. There's a section in bringing in Zillow stuff, setting up Zillow, Zaps, lots of different Zapier type of things that are available. Some of them have some videos and stuff in there, but you can also go to our YouTube channel, YouTube /Realvolve training, actually /C/Realvolve training, in which case we've got under our videos section, you can click on the little search here and do a search for Zapier and several different things for Zapier in here as well. Is that helpful? Okay, Jen says, yep, I've imported, just checking on new additions after the import. Yeah, definitely you could re-import, just do a search on Referral Maker for your new contacts and just export those contacts and then import, the new list of contacts from there. But if you can set up an email to automatically send it to the parser, then the parser, every time a new lead comes in, you could just port it right over into Realvolve that way. TL said, where's the workflow and template at or available from? Okay, so now that I've created this workflow, actually minimize this. What I will do, you come back over here. Yeah, workflows. Annual. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this annual review after close, and I'm going to create a workflow package for you guys, and it'll just be a free one, so you can just download it and get access to it. What you will do to get it, and it's not there yet, it'll probably take me about 30 minutes to get the recording and all that kind of stuff, because I'll probably put that together with it, is you will come into the little plus to add a new workflow go into workflows first, click on the plus, and then you can click on this add workflows from library. And what I'll do is I'll create an item that has this annual review after close in the list. There are some different options in here. Just make sure that it says annual review, because if you do a review, some of these have reviews where you're requesting a client review, that they review you. That's a little bit different than this. This is where you're actually reviewing their financial investment. But what you'll do then is come in, and it will be a public item like this one here. Of course, it's not in there yet. But you find the item for annual review after close. It'll be a public item. You just click on install package. Just install it one time. Otherwise, you'll get duplicates. In which case, it'll add the workflow and the template that we created. And you can, I'll probably take my video out of it so that, but go in there, make changes to the template, and then add other things that you want in there. Change the checklist, do the setting changes that you need. So I'll put that in here in just a few minutes and make that available. I'll also let you guys know in our Facebook group that it is available. So, all right. Well, we are right at our 1 hour mark. Thank you guys for joining me. I hope this was helpful. If you guys have any questions, reach out. Obviously, you can come down here to the help the help here and get on our chat and ask for help, or visit our website or send an email to support@realvolve.com, and we'll help you through whatever challenge you're having, hopefully. So, everybody, have a great day. Thank you. Talk to you later.